discuss the potential continued correspondence to and from the former employees and former supervisors with vendors, developers, as well as professionals. So, as you guys can see in your packet, there has been some correspondence recently to my email referring to different organizations and professionals having conversations with some former supervisors, former personnel. There is one here from the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement System, a David Pitzner, that says, "Good afternoon, Ms. Dupree. I was speaking with Roberta Singer, who indicated that she is no longer with the township. She was our point of contact. If accurate, please provide new contact information." That was received on November 21st. Then we have a confirmation of a Richard Lawson opening up an email that was sent to him earlier that must have been getting sent to his personal. There must have been, some of the supervisors must have had both the township's address and their personal address, but I'm not sure if this person spoke to Miss Singer or didn't speak to Miss Singer, but he alludes to he had just spoke with Miss Singer. Was he calling her on her cell phone? I mean, how did he get, did they have personal contact information for these former employees and staff? But it was kind of disturbing that he was able to get a hold of her when she's not in this building for over a month now.
I'm assuming if she's a point of contact, she probably gave her cell phone number to him as well. And
is that common for municipal?
If they're a point of contact for a specific entity, like a Pennsylvania.
Why didn't she tell him when she left that she was not going to be the point of?
Can't answer that.
So I'll be honest with you, I was in the engineer's office when Mr. Susarsik called complaining about not getting paid. So I asked the engineer to put it on speakerphone so that because I didn't feel that the engineer should have to take bill collector calls, because that's not what his job is. Meanwhile, our former board chairman was calling in on his phone while I was talking to Mr. Susarsik. Well, he's calling in on his phone. After he was done with Mr. Susarsik, she called back, and I could hear her asking him how it is in the Devil's Den. So she's calling our engineer to see how it's going here with us in the Devil's Den. There has been apparently, Sarah Scott has called the engineer while I was in there talking to him. I don't know why there's a continued correspondence with former staff, former professionals, and former supervisors to the current professionals here in this building. But it's getting a little bit old, particularly since current boards can't contact us that they need the building for a zoning hearing board hearing. So I don't know I don't know why they would have her cell phone number, or why there wouldn't be notified when she left, or why Mr. Lawson would be opening emails at his personal home computer. But do we send them possibly an email to these emails to say, because I know that this person emailed them, but I don't know if they're currently, if anybody out there is currently getting emails from developers, from professionals.
Right.
Yeah. The only way we could tell it, we send each one of them whatever an email, if there's send a response back, they're no longer to communicate with those people, that they're no longer employed, or they're no longer.
Yeah, that's the only.
That's the other thing you could, I guess you could.
Now granted, this particular email to Mr. Lawson was, a couple of weeks old.
Right.
It just showed that he opened it up because Terry had a return receipt when it gets open. So right. I got alerted just yesterday, or the day before yesterday, that he had opened it, because her emails are now getting forwarded to Secretary Treasurer. But I don't know, like I said, what to do about the continued.
The only thing I know, if we get a copy of the email, whether we get it here, we notify them that they're no longer to be contacted. They're no longer a contact point for this township.
I get emails from Facebook that I've had 4 new friend requests. And they're to a cause everything's getting forwarded to me. But they're to an email address that I can't even figure out who that person ever would have been. So it was an email address apparently created to run Facebook. But I emailed that address to say, who are you and why are you have the Union Township Facebook page? But nobody answers me back. But I'm getting forwarded the email saying that I have new friends on Facebook, on the township. It's bizarre. I don't know, maybe any of these email addresses that maybe are programmed into the tablets, would it be okay to email them to say something?
Talking about the former supervisors?
And yeah, former other board members too that maybe have.
I mean, we could reach out, rather than you guys do it, I mean, we could, I mean, if you would prefer us, I mean, to avoid any sort of.
Yeah, I don't wanna cause any problems with them, I just wanna make sure that any emails that are supposed to come here don't somehow end up because of they're using their own cell phones. Or
Right.
This person here apparently had been trying to call.
Right.
And then finally, I guess, she must have picked up and told him she doesn't work here anymore.
Right, and the only way you would.
Time goes by with that.
The only way we find out how he contacted her is if you called him directly and said, how were you able to get a hold of Miss Singer since she's no longer working?
And not that she did necessarily anything wrong, she
No.
told him that she
Doesn't work here.
doesn't work here anymore, but, you know, this is something that was apparently time sensitive, that he was wasting his time trying to contact
Right.
someone on their personal device or personal. So now it's catch-up time. I didn't know if it would be right to, I don't know, ask her, does anybody else have her, you know, that we can contact them and say, please forward it here now? I don't know, I don't know what the answer is.
The trouble is getting them to cooperate
Yeah,
and asking them to do and having them actually do is 2 different things. But I can certainly.
and rest assured, everything's good in the Devil's Den,
It's hot.
They don't need to call the engineer to ask, it's fine.
Hey, can I make a comment?
Yes.
How do we know that this Hirschman isn't paying back some of the people that were on our board?
You have to trust a professional unless you know otherwise, really. I'm sure that the cell phone, the back and forth, you know, probably Sean has a company cell phone. It was probably a cell phone that a board chairman was used to calling before. It's just getting tiring that, you know, you can be sitting there with a contractor who is infuriated about not getting paid because everybody walked out of here, and while you're talking to them, I don't know why contractors were directed to engineers to get their bills paid, which I thought was weird as it was, and it wasn't his responsibility, and I felt bad for him. I could hear him screaming through Sean's phone from the other room, so I said, Sean, put him on the phone, I'll talk to him, because it's not your problem, Sean, it's our problem. So while I'm talking to him, there's former board members calling in on his, you know, blowing up his phone while I'm trying to work it out with Sue Starsick. And then, you know, finally get off with Sue Starsick, and he's still got it on speakerphone, and he gets on the phone, and someone wants to know how it is in the Devil's Den.
Did you tell him fine?
It's fantastic. Thanks for asking.
It's getting hotter.
It's getting hotter. And the rec board wants to know about breakfast with Santa before you left.
There's one last, need to go back to new business.
Oh.
Chuck wanted to discuss